Yeah, start recording. But if you guys have any properties that you want Voltaire to start checking out, go ahead and toss them into the chat, and we'll just hit them one by one. The first 30 minutes, Voltaire goes over kind of how he finds a deal through the MLS, and then the last 30 minutes is when he'll go one by one on the addresses that you guys send over. So if you got any deals, any questions about a deal, you can use the chat.
You ready for tomorrow?
Yeah, man, coffee and cash. Is that
That's
what you're
right.
referencing?
Yes,
Yeah, man,
sir.
I'm excited. We got John, precious metals specialist flying in from Arizona, and he's gonna teach us exactly how to invest our money in precious metals and how to make money through it. I don't know if you guys are in Voltaire's Good Agent Life channel. I think it's on Instagram, but he posted a pretty dope picture, I think last night, of him wearing a fat old chain.
You might get
And
kidnapped for that chain. Watch out.
well, I don't know if you noticed, he said, I used to wear it. But I think he said he bought it for like 5 grand, but now it's like worth 20. So I think this is definitely a coffee and cash that we should all join for sure.
I'm excited.
Yeah, me too, me too.
What's
But
up, Voltaire? He's on there now.
yeah, there it is.
Yo, what's up? What's up, everyone?
So Voltaire,
What up? How was your vacation, Antonio?
Oh man, it was the best 2 weeks of our life in Thailand, Bangkok, Chiang Mai. Just today I was able to get up at 5 a.m. again. That jet lag hit us all week, and I've been waking up 8:39. I'm like, dude, it's but today finally back in it and I think we're good. We're excited. We have a big catering next Sunday and we're ready to go. Get some
Cool.
catering, get some real estate going.
There we go. Cool, man. Well, welcome back. That's always one of my favorite places to visit. So,
Highly recommend
felicidades.
it to everybody on this call.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a nice place. Super cheap, really cool. Um, all right, so let's get into it. As you guys know, this is our helpline call, so you guys could call, come in and ask, you know, anything really. We focus on searching for deals on the MLS. That's what we really focus on. So, if you guys have any deals that you want me to look into, just let me know, raise your hand, and then or mute yourself, and then we'll throw it in the chat.
David
But
has two in the chat, by the way.
David has two in the chat. All right, cool. So we'll get to yours in a bit. Let me just do my usual search, right? So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to search for deals. So I'm going to go to contacts. I'm going to look for the contact I already set up, which is under myself. And I'm going to see what's new. There's a lot of new listings. So I'll go fast. Okay. So some of these I'm just going to go really fast. First one is Rex Avenue condo in the hood. I'm not interested. Anytime I see something in this little pocket, 54th University, definitely not interested unless it's a great deal. At $400,000, it sounds too high for me. The next one is a piece of land. Um, but it has addresses, but they're advertising as land. So do I want to buy land right now as an investor? I don't. 10,000 square feet for 1.3 million. You know, development was hot 2018, 2019, 2020, 21, and then it started dying out in 2022. So do I want to buy a piece of land for 1.3? No. Um, Developing's tough. The next one, College Grove, my buddy Leo. Um, Leo's part of our group, by the way. Um, he used to be a number two agent in all of South Bay for years. And then he had a baby, and then he decided he wanted to spend more time with his kids. So, um, but him and I worked next to each other for years, cubicles next to each other. So he knows what he's doing. He's pricing this thing right. It's not a deal. 435 for a two-bedroom condo. Doesn't seem like high or overpriced. I think it's priced right. I think it's a good price. He'll get it sold. Grove Street. Six units. All right. So this is 92102. So this is Golden Hill. Grove Street is in Golden Hill, I believe. 2.9 million, six units. That's $483,000 a door. So yeah, here we are, South Park. This is a really nice pocket. It looks like they're all two bedrooms. So six units that are all two bedrooms for $483,000 a door. It's not bad. Looks like they flipped it. Um, all brand new. So it's a big flip. Um, let's see how much they bought it for. Let's see what we're talking about as far as margins. And they bought it for 2 million. They bought it for 2 million. They bought it all cash. They didn't use any loans. And 5,300 square foot lot. And they're flipping it for almost 3 million. So um, let's look at the square footage real quick. So you could all kind of do some math. So it's 4,504 square feet. So the first thing I'm gonna do is divide it by six. That's 750 square foot units. Sounds about right. The next thing is it costs about 90 bucks a square foot to flip a property. So they spent $405,000, 405. They bought it for two, so they're in it for under 2.5. So they'll make a nice little profit on it if it sells for 2.9 million. The next question is, well, how much? How much is it worth? Well, if you look at the monthly rents of 18,270, 18,270 times 12 months, that's minus 40%. That's the expense rate that we use. What does the expense rate cover? It includes taxes, insurance. So taxes, property taxes, insurance for the building. It covers toilets, trash, and tenants, maintenance, everything. So it does not include mortgage, okay? It never includes mortgage. So minus, let me see, 219, 240 minus 40% expense rate, that's 87,000 a year. That leaves you with this number. This number, it's called NOI, net operating income. This is what investors always look at. So this is a cash flow that's going to be hitting their bank account every single month, about 10,000. $800 a month it's going to be hitting, right? So we divide that by 12, just so you have an idea, 10,962 a month. So with this amount, we got to figure out, well, what's the cap rate in the area? I don't know. I mean, I would say that the cap rate in this little pocket, it's a nice pocket, so it might be like a 4.75, you know, maybe up to a 5% cap. So the way you do that is you just divide the NOI divided by 4.75% equals purchase price. So it's probably worth closer to 2.8. They want 2.9. Okay, cool. So let's find out what the cap rate that they're asking for. Okay, so they're advertising NOI of 544. I mean 131, 544. So we divide it now, uh, you divide it by the asking list price. So they're trying to get a 4.5 cap rate. So they're telling investors, hey, buy this brand new building and you're going to earn 4.5% on your money. So if you have $2.9 million, you could either keep it in the bank and earn whatever the bank's going to give you. How much are banks giving these days? I don't know. I don't have any cash invested on savings accounts or nothing. Does anybody know what banks are offering right now?
I saw one bank offering like 3.5%, but you had to have like a higher balance. And I also had another question, Voltaire. I noticed you took 40% expense ratio. We used to do 35, so I guess two questions. What made you go up to 40%? And second question is, would you still use that high of an expense ratio for a property that seems to be turnkey?
Good question. So, well, I'll cover that next. So the first thing is like, okay, let's go with 3.5%, right? So if a bank is offering, hey, you got $2.9 million, bring it over to my bank and I'll give you 3.5%, maybe 4% return on your money. That's very safe, right? But you're earning very little. Or you could go to this apartment building and put 2.9 million and then you start earning 4.5% on your money. So that's what a cap rate is in essence, okay? Now to answer the question about expense rate, everything went up, and we started seeing that like insurance, for example, when we were doing a 35% expense rate across the board, you could insure a building like this for 500 bucks a door, 600 bucks a door. So six times 500, that's 3 grand for the year. You know, now it's like it jumped up like crazy. It might be like 1,000 bucks a door. So it might be 6,000 for the year, 5,000 for the year. So everything went up, including insurance for sure. So it's like the realistic number is closer to 40%. And that's what most investors that are like pretty savvy are going to use, right? Um, so that was the answer to your question there. Now, the second question you had was in regards to what again?
The
Uh,
property seemed to be very low
oh yeah.
maintenance. Would you still
Yeah.
use 40%?
Yeah. So for all intents and purposes to like actually like be safe, I would. Again, everything costs more, right? Now, are you gonna have a lot of maintenance throughout the year? Not as much. It shouldn't, right? Um, so let's pretend that we use the a, a lesser one, let's say 35%, right? Because it's brand new. Like on brand new construction, for sure it's less. On remodel stuff, it should be if they did it right, if it wasn't just like Mickey Mouse jobs. So this is monthly rent times 12 months. This is annual rents minus 35% expense ratio. Gives us a NOI, net operating income of 142. I'm going to divide it by what they're asking for. So this is what in their mind, okay, in their mind, they're running the numbers like this row, and it's the seller's agent's job to convince the buyers like, hey, this is a great deal. Why? Because it's brand new, expense rates are going to be less, 35%, and we're giving it to you at a 5 cap. So what they're advertising in their mind, what they're going to tell investors is like, hey, you're getting a 5% return, not a 4.5% return. Does that make sense? So anyhow, is this a deal? No, it's market. And hopefully they sell it for that. But look at there's smaller units. So look at the price per square foot. They're getting it for 643 bucks a square foot. Does that make sense? If you look at uh, what I got the Valeria for, um, price per square foot, I bought it for $298 a square foot. So I bought it for under what it costs to build, right? Because any developer is going to tell me it's going to cost on the low end 300 bucks a square foot, and on the high end 350 bucks a square foot to build that same property. So I bought it for less than what it costs to build. So in my mind, I'm like, well, that means I got the land for free. And then I also bought it
That's
for,
great.
yeah, so I also got it for 228 a square foot or 228 per door. But if you do 27 doors, then it's a lot less, right? But 228,000 a door. Now compared to um what these guys got it for, or selling it for, they're selling it for $483,000 a door. Now the area is nicer for sure, right? I'd rather own in this area, but this is 6 units for almost 3 million. I got 27 for less than double that, you know. Anyhow, it's market. All right, I'm gonna speed through these because we have a lot to look at. The next one, we already saw this one. This was sits at the top of the hill. So it's the best property in the hood, right? And what did we say that was? Economic obsolescence or functional obsolescence? That was it. Economic, I guess you would say. Best property in the hood, crazy views, sits on 3 acres. It's a good buy for somebody to live in, but not a good investment. All right, the next one is City Heights, a townhome, $675,000, 450 bucks a square foot. I don't think that's a deal. The next one, it's a So this is a mistake potentially, right? Because they're advertising it as all other attached. It looks like a detached house, but it's $1 million. So either way, whether they listed it property or they didn't, maybe not. And then I read the comments, it says turnkey 3 units for the price of a single house. So this is a double mistake. It's 3 units. They're listing it as a condo. Um, so it has an ADU and a junior ADU that are attached and remodeled. So the front house is a 2 bedroom and it rents for 2650. The ADU is a 2 bedroom and rents for 2650, and then the junior ADU rents for 1500. Um, so is it a deal? Well, shoot, let's look into it. So the first thing I notice, it's in the hood, Mount Hope. Um, it's named that for a reason. Let me see. It looks like it's remodeled. Not the cleanest remodel, but it's fixed up and cool. All right, all right. Now I'm starting to suspect it doesn't have a yard, maybe, or it's on a hill. Okay, it doesn't have photos, so we don't know. Okay, so let's run the numbers real quick. By the way, I like the springtime because a lot of properties come on the market. I'm excited because then we could find a deal when that happens. All right, so the front house rents for 2650, the ADU in the back rents for 2650, and then the small one studio rents for 1500. So that's 6800 bucks a month times 12. That's 81,000 a year minus 40% expense rate. That's NOI of 48,000 and divided by, I'm just going to do the list price. That's a 4.9%. So which one would I rather own, this one or the one in a really nice area for basically the same that they're advertising it, right? That's remodeled. Well, the remodeled 6 unit for sure. So this one's too high for this price. Um, so what would make this one a good deal? Let me take the NOI of 48,960 and I'm divided by, I don't know, I think it would have to be like at least a 6% return for me to even, or for anyone to really look at it. So now you're looking at 816. Well, that's, I don't know if they would sell it for 816 to an investor, but I'm sure somebody that's going to live in it would probably pay more for it. Does that make sense? Why? Because they're going to live in one of the 2 bedrooms and then they rent out the other ones and they have um 2650 from one and 1500 from the other towards their mortgage. So they have 4100 towards their mortgage. So all of a sudden, for someone that's going to live in it, it's a great deal because they have more than half of their mortgage covered. $4,100 towards their mortgage. Does that make sense? So this is where you really find your VA buyers, your FHA buyers, 3.5% down. They're going to live in one and rent out the other two. Um, by the way, I don't know if Sydney's on our neighborhood appraiser, but my question would be this. Because it is a house, single family residence with an ADU or a junior ADU, would would this qualify for FHA? Because if you remember, FHA has this sustainability test where the only way you could buy a triplex or a fourplex, it would have to self-sustain with just the 2 units. You live in one, and the other 2 units would have to pay for the entire thing, which is dang near impossible. Um, Back in the day, it didn't have that. I bought a triplex FHA, 3.5% down, not a problem. And back then you could buy a fourplex, not a problem, 3.5% down. Now, self-sustainability test. But they only do that on triplexes and fourplexes. On duplexes, you could buy FHA 3.5% down all day long or a house all day long. So this would be a good one to look into that. And if the lender says, oh, ADUs and junior ADUs don't count, you could buy 3.5% down, then you wanna send this to a client, right? So like this, how much is the monthly payment FHA 3.5% down, 1.2 tax rate. Um, Insurance, how much insurance? $3,000 insurance. 5.75% interest rate. Um, $1 million purchase. So if they say, yeah, you know what, we're going to count it as SFR, you could qualify, not a problem. Then that means the payment for this would be 7,400 bucks a month, right? And you're already getting 4,150 from the other two units. Um, so let me see, plus 7,400. So that means that you could buy this thing and your monthly payment would be $3,250 as a buyer. So I think it's a good idea to look into it on a property like this. All right. So anyways, at $1 million, you can make it work. It ain't a deal, but I would say write a lower offer. Next one, 55th Street. It's a condo for 450. I think condos are really tough right now, and we're going to see more and more of them. We've been talking about this for over a year now, and it's starting to come together. And oh man, blast from the past. I sold this house before. Don't buy it. It's not it's not a good deal. I'll just tell you that. I don't care what price is on there. Let me see. This is 499,000. Um, Man, it looks the same. They cleaned it up a little bit. Sheesh. So let's see. Let me go into the tax record. See how small the lot is. Um, so let's see. Someone tried to sell it 7 years ago. That's how old I am. It's not even capturing here on the listing information. Let me see. Um, so let's look for my client. So they bought it from the tax McAllister. No, this is Ana Maria. So this is mortgage history. Oh, here we go. So I sold this thing. Uh, this was me. Sold it for 265,000. How much I sold it for? Anyways, not a good deal. One more thing. I'm gonna hit history here. Just want to see what I sold it for. Yeah, look, I sold it in 2004. Uh, was that when you were born, David? Let me see. Sold it for 265,000 back then. Took me 23 days. Not bad. Um, all right. 64th Street, detached house for 1.4 million, 92115. Okay, so it's in College area, little pocket there, 64th Street, 8 bedrooms, 3 baths. So look it, there's some people, or let's talk about it. It looks like there's some. It generates $10,500 a month. Estimated 6.5 cap. Um, and it's a 8 bedroom, 3 bath house with an attached ADU and extensively renovated in 2022. Are leased to one group. So they're leasing it to one group for 10,500, a bunch of students maybe. I would say that there's people that specialize in this. I'm not a specialist in renting it to, 10 different tenants. There, I've heard there's money in it. I just don't know. So this is for, I'm sure there's a buyer. So what I would do for this, like, again, this is how you guys could get more deals. What you should do is you should run comps. You find the last houses that sold like this, right? You go to residential, you type in 92115. Let me see. 92115. This is what I would do if I needed a deal. Okay, this is how you find a deal right now. You do 6 bedrooms minimum, and then you do uh solds, and you do the last 24 months. There's 31 properties in that zip code that had 6 bedrooms or more. Okay, that sold. And and then hold on, let me do this real quick. Let me just put detached. That way we're not looking at houses, multiple units. And then I would go through these, and you don't want these really nice ones, but I would just like, okay, for example, this is a really nice one. So you don't want this one. You want the ones that they, not this one, not this one, 3,100 square feet house. Maybe this one, because this one had 13 bedrooms. So this one for sure was that person. So I would go in here, tax record, and then I would say, okay, who bought this thing for a lot of money? Um, Studio City, this company, Overland. Then I would go and Google this company, right? And then I would reach out to them and say, hey, I saw you bought this property for 2.4 million. Would you be interested in another one that's 8 bedrooms for 1.4 million? And then if they say yes, then you got yourself a buyer. Because usually they try to buy these type of properties. Um, Let me see. I'll do this. Secretary of State, California. There we go. Let me see. It used to be free. Let me see if they still offer that service. I go here. I go business entity. So now I go search. Oh, so now you got to create a login. I don't feel like going through all that. So you go through a login. You type in the this person's information, LLC, and then that's it. And then you call them, and then you ask them if they want another deal. Look at this one: 8 bedroom, 4 bath, 1.95 million. So these guys paid almost 2 million. So again, you look up the buyer on this one, and you say, "Hey, look it, I noticed you paid 2 million for a property of 8 bedrooms. What do you want? Another 8 bedrooms for only 1.4 million." Right? You already know that they overpaid for this thing, so you go look up Pacific Residential, and you reach out to them. Now, if this is an LLC, let me probably location, mailing address. Yeah. So you just got to do some research, guys. And I think you guys could find a buyer that likes these type of properties and it will buy again. Cool. That's what I would do. All right. Let's go back to the search and I'll speed through it so I could get to David's. Um, all right. This one is 39th Street, 1,400 square feet, 725. What part of 39th Street? Okay, that's the hood. Um, Off the top of my head, let me see the condition. Looks like a nice little clean remodel. So I'll just run a quick 725, 123 divided by the square footage. 515 a square foot. Doesn't seem like a deal. I'm gonna keep looking. The next one is Olivewood. 4 units for $1 million. We actually have an offer on that one, but they wanted 1,125,000. It got bid up, and my clients didn't want to go up higher. This is decent. It's worth 1,050,000 ballpark. Um, the unit count, it looks like it's great, but if what I did for my client, again, this is what you got to do for your clients, you got to verify if this is real or not. 2 3 bedrooms and 2 2 bedrooms sounds too good to be true, right? Well, what I did was I pulled this up. I did for Olivewood, and I said, let me look at the history of this thing. And I went back to 2002. And back then, it was only a 2 bedroom and 3 1 bedrooms. So that tells me that they did some work over the years, and now all of a sudden it's 2 3 bedrooms and 2 2 bedrooms. And I asked the agent about it, and he said no, it was done without permits. So not that great of a deal. The next one, 3 bedroom in Logan for 700. It's not a deal. That's just normal. Lemon Grove, a 3 bedroom for 725. Let me just read in here real quick to see if it says it comes with like a free ADU or something, but it doesn't. So that's not really a deal. Looks like market maybe. Condo right around the corner from the office for 550. Not interested. Two bedroom, two bath. Seems market or overpriced. 60th Street by San Diego State, 475 for a two bedroom, two bath. Again, condos are tough. This is a nice little pocket. I own a property right here, right across the street. This is actually a clean pocket, so I would say might not be a deal, but it seems like it might be underpriced depending on the condition, maybe by 25, 50,000. But a lot of these condos right now, like I mentioned, they're having issues with the HOA. If is this one first time on the market or has it been on the market? First time. So seems seems like a fair price. Doesn't seem overpriced. Here goes Olivewood again. We already went over that one. 61st Street, it's a five-bedroom house, 1,800 square feet. This one seems it's a huge house for under 800, remodeled. Looks like it's a good deal for a buyer for sure because price per square foot is going to be low. It's going to be in the 400s. So whenever you find something in the 400s, it's typically something that's fair, 433 bucks a square foot. That's kind of cheap. The next one, 60th Street, two bedroom, two bath, 450. Again, condo prices are just falling. They've been falling. It sounds like a good deal for somebody, right? 450 for 845 square foot condo. Um, Again, another condo, um, 450 a square foot, and I mean 450,000. Sorry. Um, these were like 500 not too long ago. Like close to 500. It's just it has an assumable mortgage, which is good. But you just have to gap the difference. All right, and then the last one, Ocean View 30 and Ocean View 350 for a three bedroom, two bath. So prices are just, slumping for condos. So if you're looking to buy a condo or a client, you could probably get them a good deal right now. All right, the next search I have saved is residential income. So this is 4 units for almost 1.5 million. It's not a deal. Um, it says it has assumable financing, VA. They're using like old photos or blurry photos. This is just a terrible job as far as photos are concerned. Um, but it's overpriced at 1.5 million. And was it the first time? I always like to see when it was last listed. So it was listed and sold for almost 1.2 5 years ago. We're starting to see that. We're starting to see a lot of people that, I mean, we've been seeing a lot of people that bought in 21, 22, 23 start selling their homes. So this is 5 units for 2.2 million. Decent area. Let me read this. This property features five income producing units, renovated detached two bedroom, two bath house, and then four brand new two bedroom, two bath ADUs, approximately 822 square feet. All units separately metered for utilities. Wow, that's always a plus. So this is decent actually. So it's a fourplex in the back and it's a house in the front in a decent area. Linda Vista, let me see. Hmm, okay. So it's a 5,400 square foot lot. So the lot's kind of tight, but let's see. Let's look to see if he has any information on the rents. He's saying 160,000 total for the year. That seems a little bit high. Um, Showings with accepted offers. So that means like he has them rented. I'm assuming 9 foot ceilings. I mean, let's see here. 160,000 for the year. Let me just run some math real quick. Divided by five, so that's 32,000 for each. Divided by 12, so that's 2,600 bucks. I mean, he's not far reaching, I think. How much is a two bedroom go out apartment rent for over here? brand new, 822 square feet. I'm thinking, I'm thinking
24,
25.
25.
Yeah, 2,500. I'm thinking, yeah. So 2,500 times four, that's a 10 grand. The front house should rent for 3,000. I don't know. So 13,000 times 12, 156. Now he has a 160. So yeah, we're right there. So I'll just go with his numbers since they seem like he has rent. So let's do 160 for the year minus 40% expense rate. That's 96,000 NOI. I'm going to divide it by the asking price. So he's offering a 4.4% cap rate or 4.4% return on brand new construction on a brand new fourplex. It's not bad, you know. Um, that's not bad. Now let's do a price per square foot. 822 times 4 units plus 750 for the front house. That's 4,038. Okay. 4,038 divided by 4,038. That's 543 bucks a square foot. So that's expensive, you know. He probably spent 350 to build it, a square foot to 400, somewhere in that range. So that's where the profit is for him. Um, so it's not a deal, but it's good for somebody who has cash and just doesn't want any expenses. And they're just like, dude, I just want to rent this thing, you know. Um, maybe to college students because Mesa College is right around the corner. You have 6 units in North Park for 2 million. That's $300,000 a door, a little bit above that. They're saying that they're making 163,000 a year, right in the prime of North Park. A little bit older buildings, has some garages in the back. Okay. Um, drive-by only, James Burns. Okay, so let's look at this. 4 1 bedrooms. I don't like that already. And then one larger 1 bedroom, 1 bath for private balcony, and then one detached 3 bedroom, 1 bath house in the front. So I would say it's let me see, 163,944. Let's run the cap rate. 4 minus 40% expense rate, NOI divided by the way, this is how you get good. You just do it over and over and over, and then you get good with numbers. Almost a 5% cap, which I think is the going rate for North Park. Um, doesn't really excite me. That's kind of like whatever. It's not a deal. Hollywood again. Hollywood again. Well, the good thing is they advertise it everywhere. Let me see. And then let me look at fourplexes that I have saved right here. Hollywood, Hollywood, and then this one. We already looked at that one. So we already looked at all these. Let me go into industrial. See what we find. See if we find anything good. This looks like it's a commercial, $4.8 million, introducing exceptional investment, Starbucks ground lease located in 2201. So priced at 4.8 with a 5% cap, solid 240,000 NOI, and it has a 10-year ground lease with Starbucks. That's not bad. So what does that mean? Starbucks is leasing the ground and they're building themselves a Starbucks location. So they put up all the money to build it, the drive-through, everything, and you're buying the land for 10 years. You own the land after 10 years. If they renew, great. They don't renew, then you own everything, right? You own a brand new building. So it says that Starbucks is paying 20 grand a month net, triple net lease. So if you're not familiar with triple net lease, what that means is instead of getting gross rents, so when you own a regular rental, you get gross rents. You get, you know, $3,000 a month in rent. And then from there, you as a landlord, you got to pay your taxes, your property and your property taxes, your insurance, and all the expenses. Triple net lease, there's different nets. There's single net lease, double net, triple net. So on a triple net lease like this one, your tenant, Starbucks, they pay for everything. They pay for property taxes, they pay for the property insurance, they pay for If something breaks, they fix it. They pay for any roof leaks, anything, right? So that's the type of lease. So if they're paying 20 grand a month times 12 months, they're paying 240,000 for the year. And then you divide it by asking price, 4.8 million, that's a 5% return. So if you have 4.8 million, you just say, hey, well, I'd rather have my money here than in the bank. And this is a retirement for somebody. You know, they make their $20,000 a month guaranteed by Starbucks. Like there's no better guarantor or a tenant that you would want. So, anyhow, the location, Fletcher Hills, I don't know too well, but sits on the corner. I think I might have been there before. I don't know what was there before. I'm trying to remember what was there before. Um, anyways, it's good if you got $4.8 million and you want to retire. Not
Would
bad.
would a bank finance something like this, or would you just have to
Yeah,
come through cash because of the
yeah,
way it sits?
yeah. You can finance it. They'll finance it on a debt coverage ratio of 1.25 or whatever. So, um, so yeah, they would finance a portion of it.
So if somebody wanted to come through, they'd probably need like 2.5 roughly to put down to entertain this. I'm thinking like maybe a 1031 client.
Yeah, 1031 client could buy this thing and finance it and then have it pay for itself or whatever. Let's look at the document real quick. By the way, I've personally looked at Starbucks to purchase like different locations and but basically you would just want to just kind of retire, nothing wrong with it. Um, it's a good investment, obviously. Let me see. Does it have any more numbers? So first year 1 through 5 is 20 grand a month, and then it gets bumped up to 22,000 a month. And then if they extend, I guess they have options to extend up to 30 years total. And at that point, you start making a lot more money. 32,000 a month. Um, 10% increase after 5 years. By the way, um, when you look at stuff like this, the real genius is a person who bought this corner, right? So let's see how they did it. And then you go find. So it used to be an old vehicle rental, vehicle sales place or something. They bought it. Uh, I can't tell what they bought it for because it has two different ones, 950, 750, 725. Who knows? But they bought it for, I don't know, it looks like maybe under less than 2 million bucks. And then they just rezoned it and they sold it for they're making a lot of money on it, you know. Um, so anyhow, it's pretty interesting, right? All right, that's it. So David, we'll get to yours. So if you want to unmute yourself and then tell us about the properties you want me to look at.
Yeah, the first one is gonna be on a 2049 Julian now. It's like down the street from where Provecho's at.
Cool.
It's
So what's that? 20 what?
2049 Julian Ave.
Julian. Cool.
Yeah, so it's a 4 unit and then it has like a unpermitted like
Yeah.
ADU on the side.
This is a good deal,
Um
I think.
yeah,
I've
price per
seen this
door was good.
before. Yeah, it's 4 units. I know the owner. I was a day late to get the listing. Um, 3 bedroom, one bath, and then three one bedrooms. I think regardless of the rents or whatever, it's a good deal near downtown. I think these three streets right here, Harrison, Irving, Julian, the most desirable in Logan. I think over time it'd be a good deal. Now, the reason why they haven't sold or why it's taking so long, I don't know if it's they got any offers on it yet or whatnot, but the rents are so low because of the condition of the property. So from what I've known about the landlords, they don't really fix up their properties. But at the same time, they don't raise the rents. So it's a win-win. Yeah, I mean, tenants are happy, whatnot. So I think it's a good long-term investment. If we add up the rents right now, it's, you get 1,600 plus 3,025 for the other three times 12. If that's $55,000 a year, and if you do the expense rate of 40%, then you're left with NOI of this much, 33 grand divided by a million. Um, that's a 3.3% return, So for a lot of investors, they're just like, no, I don't want to inherit tenants that have been there for 30 years and, property that needs a bunch of work. I mean, if I didn't have so many properties, I'd probably look at this, to potentially buy and, long term and little by little work on it, get the tenants out. But yeah, um, what questions do you have about this specifically? Anything else besides this one?
No, that was it. It was just more like to like double check my work because I thought it was a deal if you did raise the rents, but yeah, more like a long-term hold.
Yeah, and it could be a good first investment for someone, for one of
Hmm.
your clients that is like wanting to get into investment. Then you just sell them something like this, but they're definitely not going to make any money.
Yeah.
You know, um, they're hoping it'll pay for itself, and that's like the best case scenario. But it would be a good property to hold long term, just like these guys. These guys owned it forever,
Yeah.
and then they're selling a few other properties that you know, they're selling. So, what's the other property?
The other one is at 5402 Churchward Street.
Okay, I'm going to the hood. All right, Churchward Street.
Yeah, that's that one. Yeah, it's a 4 unit. The mix is kind of it's just they're all one ones, but I
Oh,
thought
this
four
is
units four units for
yeah,
875 wasn't bad, and then you can rent each,
yeah,
1650. I got
big
some pretty
lot.
good. Yeah, I got
Yeah,
some pretty good numbers on it.
yeah, good lot size. All right, so tell me about the rents. How come two of them are vacant, or what's going on there?
I haven't asked the agent on why they're vacant. I think one of them is remodeled actually.
Two duplexes, one ones. Uh, oh, she means two duplexes side by side. Okay, huge lot. Okay, there could be some money in it. Um, why? Because there's a new law starting this year that allows you to double your doors. You guys know about that law?
No,
New
please tell
zoning.
us.
Yeah, new zoning in California that allows you to double your doors. So if you have a property like this, a fourplex, you could buy it and you could, if there's 4 units, you could build another 4 units automatically. And you don't need, you know, pretty straightforward. All you need is land. So this one's on a 9,000 square foot lot. So, uh, so which one is it? Do you know if it's what? It's these two right here,
Yeah, I think it's those
and
two.
the lot goes like this, basically.
Yeah.
Oh shit! But it kind of falls into a canyon or something. Hmm. So that's weird. It looks
Oh
like
yeah, it's right there.
maybe there's not enough. Because in a perfect world, if it was a 9,000 square foot lot, it would be like another duplex here and another duplex here.
Mhm.
And investors right now, that might be the next thing for like developers is to find properties like this, like little fourplexes, and then just build two more. And I don't think there's a limit. They don't have to build like 4 units that are one ones. You know what I'm saying? They could build 4 units that are three bedrooms each. Um, so that's kind of where I see the value. Now, let's pretend that best case, let me see, vacant. Okay. So let's pretend that you get market rents on these things. One ones. What's market rent for a one in that area?
But 1650.
times 4 times 12. If we do a quick GRM at 12, then it's worth 950, which isn't a lot. Let's do cap rate minus 40% expense rate divided by the purchase price of 875, 5.4% return. That's a good return. You just got to get them up to 1650. So by the
Yeah.
way, I think this is anytime you get 4 units for 875, you should do it. This is a really good property for one of you guys or for one of your clients, because um obviously, they're one bedrooms, not the greatest, but 875 divided by 4, that's 218,000 a door. Um it's you just gotta yeah, you just gotta buy it and hold it for a while, and eventually be worth more, but it's not the sexiest property, but the price is a good price. Um let me see. It's just, yeah, so it's a skinny lot. It's kind of tough there. Let me see. They don't owe anything on it. They might owe 100,000. So it might be one of those things where you call the listing agent and you say, hey, would they carry back paper? You know, um, and if you could put it together with a down payment and then you just make monthly payments on it, then it could be a good deal for you. Let me call her right now and then see if that's a possibility.
And you got about 10 minutes before your next appointment, V.
Cool. All right, sounds good. By the way, chances are she might have never asked them, but she's an experienced agent, so she might have asked them if the sellers are willing to carry paper. Agents never answer the phones. Let me see. Hi, uh, this is Voltaire Lepe giving you a call about 5402 Church Ward Street, period. I wanted to find out if your seller would carry any paper on this deal, question mark. Church Ward Street. Yeah, that's what I would do, and that way you could buy or someone could buy a property for down payment and then make monthly payments and cut out the bank.
Quick
Yeah. How does
question.
it
Um,
how do sorry, go ahead, Michelle.
Well, you can't use it as it's not VA qualified work, is it? Where you
yeah,
could, oh, it is? So you could put nothing down
yeah,
and
but then you
rent
need
it.
to be a VA. You need to be a VA buyer, and that's the only
Right.
issue.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely send it to them.
Okay.
Walter, how
Go
does it
ahead.
work when the seller carries?
Good question. So check this out. 875 minus, let's say, and in a perfect world, they'll carry it for 10%. That's 87,000 down, right? Most sellers are going to want 20%. But let's just say you get that. So you come in your down payment 87,500. That pays the seller, and then the seller with that money pays commissions and escrow and title, right? And then this leaves the balance. 787 is the balance. And then like I met with an owner yesterday, he says he wants to carry at 6.99%. So now most sellers carry interest only notes. Right. So this is 6.99% interest. This is how much for the year in interest you're going to pay them. But you break it down, you pay them 4,500 bucks a month in rent. Now, I mean in mortgage. And then you want to extend it out for 15 years. You want to extend it out as long as possible. Now with this one, the rents are so low that it might not even make sense. So let's see. If your note's 4,500, not including taxes and insurance, and you're making 1650 times 4, 6,600. Oh yeah. So basically, after you pay the interest payment every month, you're left with $2,000 a month to pay taxes and insurance. So that's how it works, right?
Yeah.
So, um, and then most sellers say, hey, I'll carry it for 3 years. And then after 3 years, you just refinance and pay me off.
Mm,
Um, the guy I talked to yesterday, he was okay with a 15-year note. He just wants to earn 6.99% interest on his money, basically. So instead of taking the money from the property and just cashing out, put it in the bank, he's saying, I'm going to leave it in the property and I'm just going to earn 7% on my money forever for 15
Hmm.
years, right?
got it.
So that's how it
That's pretty
works.
good.
It is
Cool.
pretty good. I like it. All
And
right. And then the
Memo
last
has
one.
a property too. Just a heads up.
Okay. All right, cool. Let me look it up. What's your question, Memo? Guillermo, yo, are you there? All right, we'll cover it for him real quick. I'm assuming he wants to know about, let's see what I see. 3 bedroom, 1 bath, 900 square feet, 589. Um, right off top, sounds really cheap. Let me see. It's in Oceanside, San Luis Rey. So anytime you get a single family house for under 600 and that's clean like this, seems like a decent deal. So I don't know what his question was, but let me see real quick. 589.
I think he just wanted to understand what you think the value is for this one.
Yeah, it's probably worth what they're asking. I mean, look at 654 a square foot. So once you run the square footage and it makes it seem like it's not that great of a deal. But anytime I run comps, I clear all. I do this little number right here, and then I do half a mile radius. I do criteria. I do detached house, and then I do status. By the way, I'll see you guys tomorrow at Coffee and Cash, and at the off, and that's at 8 in the morning, and then I'll see you guys at the office
You.
meeting at noon. And bring all your friends because there's gonna be a guy flying in, my precious metal guy. He's flying in the morning, and he's gonna put us up on game on the precious metal markets and see where they're at. So
Voltaire,
yeah,
sorry I missed it. What was the final valuation for the Fireside Street?
we're
Just,
running it right now.
oh,
Um,
you haven't run it yet? My bad, I thought I missed it.
yeah, so we're running it. It looks like, not that many comps, but there is one for 799 in escrow. So I would call this agent and I would ask her, hey, what you got in their escrow? And if it's gonna close at 800, then you got yourself a pretty decent deal. So since I didn't find comps, I'm gonna go back instead of 6 months, I'm gonna go 12 months and then now 18 months. I'm just gonna go back 24 months. I'm gonna see what's going on. There aren't too many comps in this pocket. There's one that sold 900 square feet, same as yours, for 650, and that was a year and a half ago, 18 months ago. So I would definitely say that it's worth. Let me look at this comp. It's worth at least 650, probably closer to 700.
That's what I told
This,
my client.
yeah, 722 a square foot. That's what it sold for 18 months ago. So definitely go after it. My first reaction was that it's a good deal. Then I ran the price per square foot and it was like whatever at 654 square foot. But if the community's selling for seven and some
Yeah.
change a square foot, then it's a good deal. So I would
We,
call this agent. Call this agent and ask
yeah,
them what they're in escrow at.
bet, bet,
Cool.
bet. Thanks. Mhm.
Good luck. All right, guys. See you guys at Coffee Cash tomorrow and at our office meeting. Peace.
Thank you.
Thank you.